that's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June. I said that's life.
So, if I could just say one more thing. How was your trip, buddy? We got together at the expo, but I don't think we really talked about much other than what we had to do, right? Our presentations. I feel like we didn't really catch up when we were at the expo. It was just like all business. We didn't really.
Well, I mean, there was the cocktail reception the night, like the kickoff night, but it was still not a.
Yeah, we still had to do our
presentation. Not a catch up.
We still had to like iron out our full presentation to like do the walkthrough. So there wasn't much relaxing at the cocktail party, if you will. Cocktail party was beautiful. It was really cool, and it felt like a very well high school reunion, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like, because you saw all the faces of the people you haven't seen in years, and everyone's dressed up in their Sunday's best. Everyone's just looking smashing. Everyone's walking around with cocktails, feeling good, mingling. It felt great.
And then Adam Devine showed up with a deck of cards.
All right, you're jumping the gun. Tell me about your travel there. You guys drove, right? Because you guys we did a little extended vacay after.
Yeah, we took off. We drove out Saturday and just kind of cruised nice and slow and took our time and got into town, dropped some stuff off at Brian's, and then went and grabbed some lunch and late lunch, and then got checked into the hotel and then went back to Brian's to help finish up. That was my Saturday travels. You flew.
Yeah, it was one of the worst flights I've ever had, to be honest with you. There's so many things that was going against my favor, right? So first and foremost, I sat next to the most neurotic guy in the history of plane flying, right? This guy should have had a prescription of Xanax, at the hip and ready. And basically, I'm sitting there trying to watch Ozark. I'm trying to blow through the final season. I got each episode going, and the whole time, this dude, he's center seat, and he's looking straight as an arrow over the seat in front of us, right? Just head like he's a tripod, right? Just so stable, not moving, not sitting back in his seat by any means, but his head is just tripoded forward, and every little bump he feels, right? And you can see it. And I'm just looking at this guy in my periph. I can't pay attention to Jason Bateman and what's happening in Ozark. I'm paying attention to this guy. And it's just making me so upset and Rick, because this guy is ruining the whole experience of watching the final season of Ozark. And in the first part of the flight, before it was dark, I had the window open, right? I'm a window seat guy. I'm not an aisle guy. I don't know what you are, but I'm always a window seat guy.
I'm a window seater.
All right. So I like the extra space as far as tilting your body. And I'm always a right side of the plane window seat guy. I don't know if you go left or right, but I'm a right.
I'm a lefty.
Wow. Okay.
I'm a lefty.
Okay. Yeah. I always like the right side. I always like leaning to the right. Okay. So got my window open, and this guy, the first part of the flight, he's just tripoded looking out the window, right? He's looking right over my shoulder. He's not doing like 15-second looks and then looking somewhere else again. Like, he's just asphyxiated, looking right over my shoulder. And it was like his head's right here over my shoulder, right? It's just getting me it's getting me anxious. So like 5 minutes in, I just put that bitch straight down as he's looking out the window. And I'm just like, I knew the flight was going to be terrible. He's getting super anxious. You can tell he's an anxious flyer. I even at one point I said, hey buddy, just sit back in your seat and relax. He was probably like 65-ish. So it's kind of weird to say something like that. But I was like, bro, let's relax a little bit. Let's sit back in your seat. And we had passed a thunderstorm. We had to like reroute around a thunderstorm. So it was the first time I've ever flown, and you could see like lightning strikes out in the distance. Like you almost thought you would open up, like I would open up the window again, and you would see the thing on the wing from the Twilight Zone.
Shatner.
But yeah, dude, it was such a trip, right? And it's no easy trip. It's like a 6-hour flight from I flew out of Philly, so it was like a 6-hour flight.
Direct to Phoenix? Or?
Direct, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It was tough, but I landed. That was good, and then we buzzed right on over to Mobile Solutions, and that's when we first got together and saw the projects. Which for the people who didn't get to make it, or enthusiasts who are listening, basically getting all the supplies ready to take to the expo. There's basically 3 independent scaled down trunks built of a Chevy Impala, and it basically shows the process of building the trunk panels from really nothing to a finished product, right? To kind of give you the full in-depth assembly line view of how this stuff or panels or modern things that we create fit together in a car.
Yeah, and that was your first time seeing them in person. I think you'd seen
looked really
pictures,
good in person.
Right?
Yeah. And I think the fact that like you can take it all apart and then put it on a flat panel like outside of the trunk that was built was a really nice touch. I'm not sure whose idea that was, but that was really cool that you could just magnetize all the panels together outside of essentially like the trunk enclosure that was built one-off for this project.
Yeah, I'm going to give credit to Carlson whether he deserves it or not.
Yeah. No, but it was good. And so there was that night. I don't think we went out. We went back to the hotel. And I think everyone just... Did anything happen that night, or did we just go right to sleep?
I dumped you off over with Nalika. And
yeah. You dumped me off with the Orca guys. We kind of messed around in that one hotel, just all caught up, which was pretty fun. Then we got some shut-eye, woke up early the next morning, and that was kind of the setup day, which was the next day. And the first person I make contact with as I walk out the hotel lobby was Mr. Pate. One of my best friends in the industry. He's got me through, so much stuff in my personal life, but I consider him one of my best friends in the industry. And he was there unloading no other than the Astrovan, Mark Vakuta's Astrovan, which
Blastrovan.
Yeah, the Blastrovan. Yeah. So we'll have him hopefully on at some point in the upcoming future on a podcast, which should be an excellent listen. Just for everything that he's done for literally the industry, almost inventing the way that kind of we go about everything that we're building and all that kind of stuff. But we'll go through
and one of the first guys to really
push the envelope,
set the set the standards for what quality is.
Right. Yeah. And for those unfamiliar with the vehicle, he had this vehicle here, which was basically in the same condition that it was built, right? So it wasn't rebuilt, it wasn't recovered in vinyl, same equipment for the most part. I think some of the amplifiers were rebuilt, but really everything is in the same exact condition as when it was like first displayed. And we're seeing that some 30 years later, and it really puts a precedent on quality, craftsmanship, and just how anything built well will stand the test of time, right?
Right. And even from a design aspect, it like holds up today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, legit.
Even though the graphics on the outside kind of date it to that time period, I guess that's early 90s. It was, I think, 93, 94-ish when that debuted. In its current form, it was a demo vehicle before that got rebuilt when he did it. But it's pretty timeless on the inside and the system and the acrylic work. And
yeah, so I think what really impressed me about the van is kind of the acrylic amp rack in the back and just how perfectly polished the acrylic is and how well all the wiring is just completely hidden. I think that's when I kind of just like did a really detailed look at the van. That's the first thing that kind of like I was like, holy shit, that's in today's standards, that would be very impressive. Which again is a huge, huge compliment considering you're talking about 30 years of technology, right?
Oh yeah.
Since then, and
Yeah,
what
and built
machines can do for us.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, built completely analog too.
Yeah.
Like just that's before we were dreaming of CNCs and lasers and 3D printers and whatnot.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of very cool things on display. A lot of good vendors. Probably the best mix of vendors we've ever seen when it comes to all the different non-car audio brands getting together under one roof, right? So you had like all the tech brands there. You had laser companies, CNC companies, 3D printing companies, 3D scanning companies. Just a vast amount of support, really, when it comes to what we're trying to show and all the ways that you can get there in car audio fabrication, right? So it was really cool seeing the support of all those different vendors and having them kind of show their own little workshops there in their booth of how their equipment works and how you can apply it to what we do, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, and I really think it's kind of helped showing that generation that hasn't quite gotten to the automation and to the precision of a lot of those computer aided devices, and it kind of showed them what's possible. Whether, there's guys like Carlson that, they're fully 3D printing dashboards and trunk panels and things like that. And I think it's, we're still a ways until that printing and design work is done at a stereo shop type of scenario. But it really is cool to kind of show that and show what's possible and capable and what these machines can do. And I assume that it's just a matter of time until that stuff becomes even more and more common. And also kind of cool for all the trimmers, that this show was not just car audio guys. It was basically based around fabrication and interior fabrication and including audio. And so there were a lot of guys that are just I shouldn't say just, there's a lot of high level upholstery and trim shop guys that were there. And so for them to kind of see some of that next level stuff, getting away from, kind of the old school building stuff out of chipboard and foam and that side of things, and letting them see some of the new stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, when we had our first class, we kind of asked for a show of hands of how the crowd was made up. And surprisingly, it was like a very even batch among like salespeople, installers / fabricators, interior trim people. There's people from really all over, which is really, really good to see.
Yeah, it's cool because there's so many different perspectives, and part of those type of events are based around classes and these presentations and stuff that we're going over and teaching. And a whole other side of that is just that kind of communal talking with the guys in between classes and the other attendees. And those guys gain all these extra perspectives and ways of looking at things. And, all those side talks that they have in between classes are one of the most valuable aspects of all of it. This social aspect of it really, I think, helps guys grow too.
Mm-hmm. So what was kind of different from my point of view versus what I've seen in the past going to other industry events is that there was a kind of like a massive stage was the focal point of the showroom, right? So the expo center where all the vendors were kind of congregating. You had this big stage with all the tooling up there of what you would see in a typical shop, and it became a space in which very important like interviews and presentations, and we'll talk more about the build off a little bit later, but people building in real time, trying to create different things. And you can kind of see all that happening as somebody is working in a shop. So, if I'm a dude who just started, or, maybe like a trimmer and I want to see how people make the stuff, you can kind of just sit there right by that stage and just watch people going through the process. And sometimes that fly on the wall mentality is like the best learning tool possible for most people. Just being able to see somebody problem solve and go through different ideas and techniques and all of that as it's being shown in real time and combined with the AV expertise that the AV guys of this place had. So they're consistently changing the view of like a presentation, or they're going to different camera shots of different people walking on the stage, right? And really zooming into what people are doing. And it's just something that kind of felt like a in-person TV show almost.
Right.
It was really impressive. Just the AV work that the guys did up top controlling that presentation, the lighting, the music, like right after a presentation would stop, and then you have music that kind of blasts through the different halls. It just felt like I can't find the right analogy for it, but it felt like it was just one fluid event, right? Because we do our first presentation and then we're walking from one room to the next, and it's like we're going through different chapters of this fucking story, right?
Yeah.
It was really cool. It felt really, really cool. And each class basically layered upon the previous class. The way that it was set up and the classes were drawn out, the class after the previous class would piggyback and further go down that rabbit hole to educate you more or progress the installation or the fabrication, which I thought was really cool.
You didn't sit in any of the other presenters' classes, did you?
I saw, obviously by nature, so like Gary and I did one class on panel fabrication. So that was our first class, which was basically like car comes in the bay, you're evaluating the client, their expectations, their budget, and then you're coming up with a design, equipment, all that kind of stuff, and then you're pairing everything together to create something for the client. And our second class was piggybacked off the first class. So in the first class, we talk about what we're going to use to create different things as far as fabrication goes, like different plastics or metals. And the second class is doing a deep dive on the metals and the plastic. Your third class, because you did 3 in a row, that I can't even imagine.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, after 2, I was pretty toast and mentally exhausted. You did the third one with Tom and JT, I believe, and that kind of went further into the upholstery and the painting and vinyl wrapping and grill pressing and things like that, kind of like the finish work of what we had talked about from the first 2 classes. So again, all of these classes perfectly piggyback through to where
and then that track finished out with Tracy doing
right
actual like full on
exactly right
stuff.
So and to make it clear, like the people that attended the first class, they attended all these classes all the way through in one fluid track, so you kind of get a real-time view and a good breakdown of literally the full scope of the project, and having detailed demos during each one of the things, whether it's grabbing the geometry of the trunk to, cutting aluminum to doing a press grill or wrapping something in vinyl or, paint matching something, different painting techniques to then physically stitching something in a car. Like I said, it was just very different because I feel like a lot of the classes we've done in the past, or a lot of the events we've done in the past, it's more of just like okay, here's a class just on A-pillars or this. And there's so much more to it. And this kind of laid everything out.
So did you saw classes from any of the other tracks or no?
So the only other class that I attended, other than obviously the one that came after ours, which I should say mine because you continued, was Alan's class on the speaker design from a engineering standpoint, which was fascinating.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's really the only other class that I went to.
Yeah.
I would have loved to do
Alan on our...
I would have loved to do Carlson's, but
Yeah. Yeah, there was like a business track that was for owners and principals. And then there was, I still can't remember what the red track was called, but it was a lot of subwoofer enclosure fabrication and subwoofer enclosure design. And, you know, Wayne Harris of DB Drag Racing, ex-Rockford guy. Gary Springay was teaching classes in there. Andy Waymeyer, Dean was teaching with Andy that track. And then there was another design and then CAD based track. But yeah, I was a little bummed I didn't have any time to go see other stuff. One of these days I'll get to attend as a attendee.
So funny story for the folks listening. First class we did, I want to say it might have been the second day. I don't think it was the first day. Second day, Gary and I get down to our first class. It's like 6:30 in the morning, maybe, right? I think we're sitting there drinking coffee, and Gary gets the wave, right? Like 20 minutes before the class.
Do we have to talk about this?
And he's like, bro, okay, if I dip out, if I make a hand gesture, I'm dipping out. And you just got to know that you got to take over from this point, and I'll be back. And I'm like, okay, I get it. The total Austin Powers scene of him going to the bathroom with a mic on. And I tell Gary, bro, just make sure you turn your mic off, right? Because we're mic'd up. We have like these wireless mics on us, right? And
oh gosh,
no matter where you're at, they're gonna have sound. So we just kind of laugh about that. It's kind of like a joke and blah blah blah. Well,
and I made it through the class.
He made it through the class. No, he fought through the wave. And we go to the second class. After the second class, like generally, you know, people attending the class, they'll come up and ask you different questions and things like that. So the AV guys are so good and so quick that they immediately cut the mics, right? So you don't hear yourself over the speakers. So Gary and I are up there on stage talking to people, answering people's questions and things like that. Well, Gary continues on, right, after the 10-minute break or whatever. He's still up there with the same mic. My ass walks away with the fucking mic still on my hip. I never turn it off. And apparently, I'm walking through the hallway with my mic on.
We're getting ready. Yeah. We're getting ready for the third class, and they turn the mics on, and we're like, okay. Yeah. Everybody's like, have you seen the other mic? We're missing a mic. No, I think Matt's got it in his pocket. I don't know.
I'm getting text messages, which I don't get because my phone is still on stage, and I'm walking through the hallway, and everyone hears me talking over during the
entire auditorium, basically.
Yeah,
like
it's the whole showroom.
And we have no idea who Matt's talking to or what he's going to say. Yeah. So we just start kind of talking
anything
over it. Yeah. Matt's a wild card. So we start kind of just talking over like, hey, Matt, if you can hear us, your mic's on. And then at the same time, we're texting like,
yeah, so
nonstop.
Yeah, so I get back. Everyone tells that they end up finding out which mic was mine, and they turned it off. But a lot of my conversations with random people were broadcasted in the auditorium. So I go back. The first person I think I see was Sage, and he's like, "Hey man, we could hear your whole conversation." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Man, they're doing presentations, and we just hear your voice through the speakers." And I'm just like, holy shit, really? What was I saying? And he's like, you're saying something about some shitty activator. And I was like, oh shit. So I was having a conversation with this guy in the hallway, and he had a question. He's like, hey man, anytime I use CA glue and activator, and then I sand it, and then I try and paint something, the paint never sticks to where the CA glue and activator was. To which my response was, well, it sounds like you're using some shitty ass activator. And that shit gets broadcast through the whole auditorium. And it's funny because I warned Gary of going to the bathroom with his mic on, and lo and behold, it happens to me walking through the auditorium with my mic on.
That's funny. And when you got back to your phone, what did your text message from me say?
I think it said, "Can I just say one more thing?"
No, it said you totally Austin powered it.
Yeah, it did. Oh. But if that's the worst thing that happened the whole expo, I mean, I'll take it. That's a feather in my cap.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So for the people listening, we did bring mics to record podcasts while we were there, but we realized it was a new wild card because how Gary and I record is he's on his computer, I'm on my computer. We run it through this website that connects both computers together, and then it gives us a separate audio file for each of us so we can edit it accordingly. Well, when we got into the boardroom, which felt very, very presidential, if you will.
Yeah, it was fancy.
It was very fancy, big ass table. But we had our mics, but we didn't know how to get both of them plugged in through like USB because we both brought USB mics. Well, on my home setup, I have an XLR mic and Gary's using a USB. So once we tried to coordinate everything together, we just couldn't figure out a good way to make it sound good. And I think quality and sound takes precedent over just putting something out. So we had talked to the people that we wanted to get on, and we'll end up getting them on at some point, which will be some, I think, very entertaining podcast for a lot of people to listen to.
Yeah, I feel like we're gearing up for a really good run here.
Yeah, we got some really good people in the works.
What else? You got to do saltwater shots with Dave Kindig. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty lame, actually. I think it was a giveaway when you saw how big the shots were. Because it was almost
how
like
clear they were.
It was almost like
it.
Yeah, it was almost like lowball glasses filled to the top with salt rims, and I'm like,
Just for the people listening at home, Dave Kindig sent us a round of shots that were saltwater, and it was followed up, or it was, I guess the precursor was a nice speech of thanks for having me. You guys are great, and then everybody does a shot, and it's welcome to Salt Lake.
For the enthusiast or whoever listening who's unfamiliar, he's got a TV show called Bitchin' Rides, and he was one of the special guests there to kind of deliver a presentation, and he has a history with Brian when Brian worked at Rockford, so they kind of go way back, and it's kind of like a full circle sort of a ordeal there, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, and he brought out one of his custom Corvettes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good little showing of cars there too. What were your favorite demo cars there?
I had a good time in Brian Mitchell's car. I exposed him to the NPR Tiny Desks, and we had a blast. And I think he saw the potential of how fucking great that demo is, and how entertaining and engaging it is. And he's building a car that's going to have a big ass curved, like a home fucking screen inside the dash, right? He's building the interior around this curved screen, which is going to be the front part of the car. And to hear like the NPR Tiny Desk, or to see the NPR Tiny Desk experience with the sound quality and the staging of a car like that is going to be a really, really, really game-changing experience for demos, for sure. But I will say that one of the most beautiful things that I saw that was, I shouldn't say shocking because it's a great team, was, the JL Cadillac.
Oh, yeah.
That install was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I love it when I see something I haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. And the way they did the trim work, it was awesome.
Yeah, and I think totally awesome. I think it kind of goes to what you and I speak about all the time is when we're at events like that, you just kind of walk around and Neanderthal around, and you take peeks and things, and sometimes you'll listen to something and your expectations are never super high, right? Because you've seen it all and you've been exposed to everything. And like when I just walked by that trunk, I was just like, holy shit, that's beautiful. Like That's well executed. It just looks really, really good.
I miss the days of hardcore manufacturers going, 5 levels beyond what's cool and just pushing limits. It's good to see. It's good to see that even on something like that car it's not like a crazy demo car, but obviously the amount of hours and time to execute something like that is substantial.
Yeah. There wasn't too many other full-on audio demo cars that at least I ran into. Maybe there was, but
no, I mean there were
I know,
quite a few.
Sage's or Nalika's Bronco that Sage built was one.
Yeah, Andy Waymeyer was out there giving demos. There was a Morel car. There was quite a few guys out there giving demos. It was cool to see that
Brent's
demos
car was fun.
being given. Oh, did you sit in the van?
I didn't. I did from a good 15-foot distance, because that's about what I can do. Like I am not a bass guy like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna put myself through that torture.
Wow. I used to compete DV drag. I
know
that.
that's just not me. I can't do it. I'm a pussy.
So it had been a long time since I'd been in something loud, and I told him, I said, don't hold back. And he hasn't posted the video, so thankfully I maybe the video did not come out good, but I sat in it. He gets it going, and it literally pulls a booger out of my nose. I'm like, what the? Oh my gosh! And yeah, it was definitely an experience. So I think that there is video of a booger flying out of my nose.
Yeah, it's impressive though. Like that is something that I can genuinely say I could never do. To execute and build something like that. Hats off to him. Like he's one of the few people that in today's market that like kills it when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just going over the top and something you can.
And well executed, like good fit and finish. And,
yeah, definitely fun to see.
So back
what
to
else was there about the expo?
The reception night, because you already brought up the story, Adam Devine's cards.
Oh yeah,
that whole story was so funny because it built for like an hour beforehand, and I don't know how it came up. I don't know if it was with.
I believe it was Matt saying, "You guys want to see a card trick?"
But I didn't have cards.
Like,
but I didn't have
I know,
cards.
and
So
then,
it didn't.
Then we were like,
it didn't
yes,
start with
we
that.
do.
I think somebody was talking about magic, and I was like, I know a magic trick, or I know some card tricks, and people just because I always exaggerate and keep going and do bits. Like everyone's like, you don't fucking know a card trick, and I'm like, I know a fucking card trick. And then I think it's when Tom came down that it really started accelerating because. Tom knows that I do bits all the time, and he's like, bro, you don't know a fucking card trick. And he's just laughing at me, right? And I'm like, bro, I know a fucking card trick, and it's going to blow you away. And he's like, get a deck of cards. So at that point, we start asking everyone that we see walk by, hey, do you have a deck of cards? And we got like 10 no's. And then Adam Devine, and again, we'll bring this up, of Divine Concept, not to be confused with Define Concept, which uses the same colors, which is a story for another day. He had a deck of cards in his room. He's like, I'll go get them. And I said, perfect. So now there's even this more like buzz and expectation of some shit that's going to go down, right? So he gets the cards. I have the cards in my hands. I'm starting to shuffle everything, and everyone's looking at me like...
And we're in the hotel lobby, and there's like this nice big table that seats 6 people or whatever, and Matt is just like holding court. Like it is like gather around, like so carnival barker.
I'm shuffling cards, right? And then I think when I shuffled and then I hit the bridge, because you know how like when you shuffle and then you bridge the cards back.
Yeah.
I think that's when a few of the mindsets of the audience changed, right? Because they're like, oh shit, he knows how to fucking shuffle cards. So at that point, I think that the one big doubter was still Tom. He's sitting there. He's just like, this fucking guy. He's gonna waste 10 minutes of my time, and then he's not gonna show me a card trick. So I'm doing a whole elaborate story. And again, I know a few card tricks. So I'm really just like dolling the thing up, and I would have felt fucking so bad if I messed up the card trick, obviously,
gosh.
just because I did so much build up and expectation for something spectacular.
It's like the hype around a movie, and you go see it, and you're like, it wasn't that good.
So I think the first one that I did was one of those tricks where you have somebody else select the different piles. So I show them a card, they pick a card, they show it to everyone, they put the card back in the deck, they shuffle it, they put it however they want, and then I have the deck and I divvy it into like 4 piles, and then they pick 2 piles, and then those piles are eliminated, and then I split those into 4 piles, and then tell them to pick 2. Those are eliminated. So we keep doing that until we're left with 1 card that's face down. And we did this, and we got to that last card, and I'm like, would you shit your pants if this was the actual card? And everyone's like, it's not the fucking card. Like, everyone is just so certain that it's not the card. And then I like did this really dramatic flip over, and I felt like David Blaine for 10 seconds of my life because of the reaction that there were so many people that doubted what they were going to see, and we hit. And then we followed it up with a few more just to show proof of concept that I do know magic tricks and to don't doubt me. So, Tom Miller, don't doubt me because it will come through.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty
fun.
good.
And then it became like a thing to where I had the cards in my backpack, and there was the next night we were at Twin Peaks with the Orca people, and I'm sitting with Sage and Sage's installer, and he's like 21 years old, something like that, and I'm showing him the card trick, and I do it to Mark from Car Audio Fab is there because I told Mark from Car Audio Fab about the card tricks, and he's like, oh, I want to see something. So I did it to Mark from Car Audio Fab, and he was blown away. And then I showed Sage's helper the same trick, and we did this thing where he tried doing it to somebody else, and he fucked up the trick, and I took the deck, and I know like the count of the cards, and I was able to like finish the trick. So it became this new wrinkle in the card trick to where
somebody started it and you finished it.
Yeah, to where now like this is one of the best card tricks I've ever known with this wrinkle. To now we can go up to anybody and just blow people's minds. It was fun.
That's awesome.
It became a week about magic, really. So yeah, that was fun, and I would say that would be one of my highlights of the nights there, just having free time. Even though I will say one of the other highlights was our last meal that we had.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's rare to get, like from a appetizer or salad to the main entree to dessert and cocktail, everything a home run, in my opinion. It's very rare, but that meal was awesome.
Yeah, we had a great meal.
Maybe it's just because I was so famished during the whole week.
Well, yeah, it was very nice. It was nice to have a relaxing, knowing we didn't have anything else we had to do.
Especially with good friends.
Yeah, with a group of guys that.
And it was your birthday dinner.
It was my birthday dinner.
Yeah.
Day before my birthday, but
yeah.
So my question is, are you going to practice new magic tricks for next year?
100%. And
is it gonna?
And I feel like I have to one it up to where I'm not going to do cards. There are no more card tricks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a rabbit and a hat?
No, like I have to do like real deal magic.
Wow.
I don't know what that's going to consist of, but I feel like it has to be something drastically different. It's like an install, right? Like you can't do the same type of install after you've done a cool like you can't do the same theme, right? It's got to be totally different. You got to just do a 180.
You know what I did watch? Somehow I stumbled across it, and on YouTube I watched the Rogan podcast with David Blaine.
Yeah.
Since we got back from,
I'll swallow a frog.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Next expo, I'm not even going to present. I'm just going to be locked in ice for 3 days.
It's a Matty Ice. It's kind of like Natty Ice.
Yeah. Where's Matt? Oh, he's fucking locked in ice. He's doing magic.
He's levitating in a block of ice.
He's buried in a casket all weekend.
Right. Casket filled with ice levitating over the convention center.
No, but I will say, kind of getting back to the expo, that for the first of anything, right, it was very impressive. You know, I would say the biggest weakness was just like that first presentation, because we didn't have the opportunity to fully go in the room the night before. But I think everyone pretty much pulled everything together, even though the second day went way smoother. But again, we were also
unlike the first day with me sitting on the floor, you know, with 7 minutes to go, trying to put together the last part of our
cut
props.
some templates out for fitting everything together. But you know, it's tough because like you're getting all these people together from across the country to then put this presentation together, which you haven't done in person, right? Because of everything that's going on. So we didn't have the chance to do like a full dry run through of all our stuff, but I think it worked well with us because we always go back and forth and we talk, and
we're used to it.
Felt like we had a small advantage there.
Yeah, I was excited about what we presented too, because as far as I know, that was the first time anybody's ever kind of shown that behind the curtains process that you and I both use to plan out and go through a project. And it was cool to kind of show that to people. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guys that don't realize what it takes to execute at a high level. Right. And it's really interesting to me to pull that curtain back and show some of those guys. Like, I know a lot of guys online, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, show off their work, but they don't really show what goes behind it. And sometimes it's hard to tell what level guys are executing at. It's hard to tell in a picture how nice the fit and finish is and how the details are. And you know, you never tell on Instagram how good something sounds. That's for darn sure. Mm-hmm. And it kind of equates to a lot of things. I actually had a old friend come by the shop today who is a very, very high level airbrush artist. And we were talking about a couple of things, and it's like, you know, he makes it look so easy that you're just like, I'm like, you could just knock that out. And I hate it when people do that to me. Like, you don't understand the hours and hours and hours that go into this stuff. And I just laugh. And I'm like, just do your thing. Make it happen.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I had a guy call today about, he's got like a 2019 Porsche. And it's one of those guys where like his expectations are way out of sync. Like, he thinks he can do a full audio system for $2,000 installed, right?
Right.
And he's like, well, you could just do that in a day, right? Like, I could just come and drop it off and pick it up that day. And his expectations are nowhere near the amount of work that it actually takes to do something that he's going to get a return on his investment in. And I hate when people kind of allude to, you can just knock that out. It's really only like 6 hours of work, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So there is one more thing we didn't talk about from the expo, and that was the build off. Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty cool. It was awesome. All the guys in the build off pushed so hard, and like it's funny as I get older, like I can't imagine having that energy to run at that pace. These guys were up there on stage they had 4 hours to build these insert panels, and you know, everybody took a different approach and different techniques, and everybody's panels like just so creative and so many different directions and styles, and it was awesome to watch. And
maybe we'll put the winner of that build off as the thumbnail of this episode.
Oh yeah,
if there's a good picture out there, we'll do that, and then that'll be the thumbnail that you're looking at for reference. That's fun, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No, it was really cool to see, and especially like I think a lot of the teams were people that are just paired up together, right? So not only are they trying to execute something in a quick amount of time, but they're also delegating work to people that they don't work alongside with on a daily basis. So it wasn't like people from one shop competing with people from another shop. It was like a mixture of 3 different people from different shops kind of coordinated into one team, which was really cool.
Yeah, and everybody kind of had their thing. It was good.
I'm
It's good
really
to see.
excited to see how this event evolves, because there's a lot of ideas kind of like in the think tank of
Right.
where we can go and things that we can advance on and fine tune, but like the potential of what this can become evolved on what it already is really exciting.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a unique event, and it definitely had a vibe and a feel that was reminiscent of, I'm going to just give you the air quotes of like the good old days of, car audio in its heyday, and just such a positive energy and positive vibe, and just this, I don't know, I guess it's because the event, everybody that was there was vested into the event. They paid to be there, and they were paying attention. They were there to learn and to like up their skill level. And that just every single person that was there was happy to be there and excited and getting to experience all sorts of new things, from the most entry level guy to the most advanced guy. There was something for everybody basically. And it was good and refreshing to see that, as opposed to sometimes we go to events and either the car audio side of things is pushed to the side at a overall automotive event, or some of the things that we have attended in the past for, specifically car audio, have been just kind of the same regurgitated stuff that was being taught when, I was putting radios in at Circuit City, right? Like not a lot has changed. And so this was definitely fun and fresh. So we'll see if we can do that 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and I will say that there was a lot of, for me, like attending like a SEMA, right? And you have certain types of keynote speaking with the AV associated with it, because that is what this had, which made it feel completely different than your typical industry event. When you had like Brian and Dave Kindig up there chatting more or less face to face, right? Really not at the audience, but like that you're just, a fly on the wall of this conversation that is being just mic'd throughout the venue. And you have these TV screens all over the place that have their close-up conversation. It just felt really intimate, and it had that like SEMA feel, but more gauged specifically on what it is we actually do.
Yeah.
Which again, the AV side of this whole event was just really well executed.
Yeah, it was definitely done at a high level. So what else? How was your flight home?
Flight home was awesome. So flying back, you hit like the jet stream. So you actually shave off like an hour flying home.
Wow.
And it was just super smooth. I didn't sit next to anyone neurotic. I watched the final episode because I made it all the way up to like the last episode of Ozark, and I saved the last one for the flight home. Obviously, threw on the Focal Stella headphones with the Astel, listened to some Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing as we landed, and then had a hour and a half drive home back to from the airport, because I don't live.
Did you drive and leave a car at the airport? Or?
I did, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, oof is right.
Yeah. That is not fun.
Any other good memories of note?
That I can talk about? No.
You want to say just one more thing? Just shoot it at me.
Nah, I'm out of things.
Oh,
I don't have just one more thing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we had a good time.
It was fun.
We had a good time.
Can't wait for next year, and I'm excited to dial in our presentation and just put the finishing touches on some things, even though next year it'll probably be totally different.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, the plan is to do something.
Can't be the same thing every event.
No, that's no fun. That's no fun. I will tell you that coming back, it's every time I go to a Mobile Solutions event, previously in Phoenix at Brian's place, I always come home and I look at my shop and I'm like, oh, I gotta organize this, or I gotta clean this up, or hey, somebody showed me something new, I gotta get this tool and that kind of stuff. And I came home, charged up, like always, like, hey, I'm gonna change some things, I'm gonna fix some things. And so I took some time around the shop, took a couple of days of getting some stuff tweaked to work better. And
nice.
It's always like those events always get you in that mood to be better,
Yeah. I will say one of the other funny things of note that you and I talked about is the amount of people that came up to us for the podcast exclusively, right?
Oh yeah.
Like that was pretty staggering, because I felt like almost more people knew us for the podcast than, anything that we've even done in car audio, right? But it was fun because like there was Gary fans and then there was Matt fans, right? So people would go up to Gary and they'd be like, "Man, fuck Matt." Like,
they did not say
you're
that.
my guy. They're like, "You're my guy."
That.
No, they did, because they gave you got whiskey, from some people. I didn't get that, right? So like clearly there was Gary fans, and
was also
during one presentation, right? We're about to start, and he's like, Gary looks over at me. He's like, "I don't want to make you nervous, but that Gary fan is here in the audience right now." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then it's hilarious too.
There were people both ways that had like.
It's hilarious too, because I got a message on, I think it was like YouTube, that was like, "Man, you're so much cooler than Gary," and I sent Gary that like a screenshot. And I'm like, "Clearly you know who this person is." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know who that person is. Definitely a Matt fan." And I was like, "Let's go."
Team Maddie. Team Maddie.
Finally got a fan. Let's go.
think
So shout out to you. You probably know
more
who
than
you
one.
are because you're probably listening. Send me another message. I'll heart it on YouTube. So other than that, like, give me a quick little update of where you're at in the shop.
I can't. Like, I have so much cool stuff. You kind of know a little bit behind the scenes, but like, I was thinking about this as I was driving home, knowing we were coming on the podcast, and I'm like, I feel like I don't have any new, like, hey, here's what we're working on stuff.
Gary's a walking NDA.
It sucks sometimes. It just sucks. It's like, hey, I told you the part where I was hanging out with the one guy a couple weekends ago and talking about the stuff, and then I'm doing the stuff for that one company, and like I'm doing all these like fun, cool projects that are not necessarily quote unquote car audio, and they're all like top secret things, and I'm like, I want to broadcast this stuff. I want to tell everybody the fun stuff we're doing, but as far as stuff I can talk about, we're just I think we had touched on this just before we left for the expo. The Camaro build is like, we're just kind of slowly in the background putting checks in boxes to get that thing on its path to being finished.
That guy's so bitter listening right now because he's like, slowly.
Well, I mean,
he's like,
we were waiting for whatever it took, 9 or 10 weeks, 12 weeks to get a set of subwoofers built. It was like insane. So the car literally sat in the corner, and now we're trying to like work it in, and you know, we had to schedule stuff around it too. And then I've had another one of my friend's trucks in there for, I mean, coming up on a year. It's been kind of just sitting there, and it was one of those, you know, hey, when you get time in between other stuff, and we'll get to it. And it's finally time to get the pedal to the metal on that thing, and that thing's just absolutely nuts. That's the one I think we've talked about it before on here, but that's that really crazy custom build that, again, I don't really want to give it away until he's ready to present the car, which will be a few years. But
nice.
You know, it's real deal TAD horns in the dash, and you know, 1.5 cubic foot enclosures in the front for 10-inch mid bases with a Pro 210 bridged on each one. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's going to be so cool. And I'm working on upping my my 3D design skills because my goal is to 3D print the woofer baffles, which is going to be a fun project. We'll see if I can pull it off. I'm not 100% committed to it, but I'm working on it, and it's definitely
if I know anything about
really
you,
cool.
the thing that turns you on the most is baffles.
I definitely like to do
baffles.
something unique.
Yeah,
I really do.
You'll send me you'll forget about the time change, and you'll send me something at 3:00 in the morning of a 3D CNC piece of 3-inch oak that you've completely chamfered and designed from the ground up.
Yeah,
one
we're
solid
definitely
piece.
integrating the 3D capabilities of our CNC more and more, and then we just added another large format 3D printer, which was one of the things that got set up since we got back from Expo. So that's going to open a few more doors, give us a few more inches of print volume.
Ask me how many 3D printers I have.
I know how many 3D printers you have.
0.
0. We'll get you there one of these days.
I was talking to Pate at the expo, and he was like, just nonchalant. He's like, yeah, I got like 23 3D printers now. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah. That's kind of a tough game. I see a lot of guys adding 3D print, and there is a wide range of machines. Like literally there are 3D printers you can buy that are actually halfway decent for $99. And then, I've been helping a buddy on a project that might involve somebody purchasing a 3D printer, and the one that does what it needs to be done is $250,000.
That's crazy.
And the print volume is only 20 by 20 by 10, and it's 250-ish, not including freight.
I think Pate got it figured out because he's like, yeah, I needed more, so I just used my 3D printers and 3D printed new 3D printers. And I was like, well, it probably works. I can't confirm or deny. I don't have one, but sounds like you got it figured out, my friend.
Sounds like an exhibit meme. Yo, dog, I heard you like 3D printers, so I 3D printed you a 3D printer.
What happened to exhibit? I feel like if anyone, you would know.
You know what? Funny you say that.
You're like, you do know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just saw something where he was like, he was basically bashing on the Pimp My Ride stuff about how like, hey, look, I was just there to like pick up the car and drop it off. I didn't do any of that stupid stuff. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. What about you? Anything interesting?
Just finished up.
Ready to talk about the Bentley, or you want to say that for another episode?
We finished that first one up. That one went well. I think we had left off on the last podcast about that one. Maybe. I don't even know. But that one was sweet. We used a lot of aluminum. Just a lot of like, I would say like elegant, simple design, trim to fit the car. And the guy had brought me all the equipment. So like we had used some stuff that I had never used before. Like we used some Morel lamps that I've never used. But it was the first time that I got to use like Boston Pro subs since like the late 90s or early 2000s. Still sounded excellent, right? Good stuff holds up. But Focal Kevlar 3-ways up front, Moscone DSP amp, 3 Morel amps. We had a 4-channel to 5 channels, all the speakers active, and really happy with how that turned out. As in with any Bentley, resonance is the hardest thing to overcome in the back just because it's so like there's nowhere for the air to go, right? So that's always the biggest hurdle is like trying to figure out how to relieve some of that pressure because again, the pressure is going to force a lot of like the layered panels in the deck and it has like the motorized sunshade. The more pressure, obviously the higher chances of resonance in the back, meaning therefore killing the sound stage of the subwoofer landing up front versus, isolating to the back.
Do you vent that or ski hole or?
Yeah, so we did a ski hole. We basically cut out the leather flap that's attached. We have the ski pass come down, and then we build an insert that fits in there. But obviously, like the best resort, if aesthetics didn't matter, would just be leave it open, right? That's
Right.
generating the best airflow out. And we had the subs facing the rear of the seats, like the ski hole area. That's where the subs were aiming. They weren't like aiming up or back, because in that car you only have so much real estate to work with. You can't put the amps in the floor because the spare tire area, like, you know how sometimes the center of the spare tire is molded up and it's part of the car,
Right.
right? So it's not like usable space. Like if the spare tire is just all open, then you have the space and you can absorb that depth, and then you can put the sub enclosure all the way back and still be able to remove it while the amps are still in the floor. But in this case, really the only scenario you have is sub box towards the seats, subs firing towards the seats and the ski hole opening, and then the amplifiers on an amp rack behind on the back of the box, and then a trim panel covering the amplifiers.
Did it naturally seal up good against the ski hole, or did you have to do some work to?
No, it turned out really well. Like I said, when you put in the pass-through, in order to really conceal it, we did a press grill, and then we did a speaker grill mesh behind the grill, just so you can't see back there, and it looks very nice. But obviously that is going to limit a little bit of airflow. So a nice little trick is you take your ski pass insert and you basically hover it off the bottom a little bit. So there's actually like a 1/2 inch air gap on the bottom.
Gotcha.
So that's where a lot of the air is actually being relieved. But it looks, as you're staring at it, it doesn't look like it's not flush with the ground. But
Yeah,
you're
that's a good
using
trick.
that little spot to relieve a good amount of air to come through.
That's a good trick. Hey, we used your trick on a car this week.
What's that?
We actually there's a listener's car in the shop that we're doing a system in.
Is he a Gary?
And-
He's obviously a Gary guy, right?
Well, he's local to me. I think he's just a podcast listener.
All right, shout out to him.
And yeah, Brian, we're working on Brian's car this week, and we had some uneven spaces in the floor in the trunk, and we had a fuse block we needed to mount, and so we put down a couple layers of sound deadener in the trunk, and then we took a chunk of plastic and we machined it to fit in a kind of a little bit of a V-notch valley. And then we tacked it down with some silicone and put another layer of sound treatment over the top of it. And had our threaded tapped inserts into it and bolted it down.
Yeah, solid. Works well.
The Matt Schaeffer method.
Yep. Works well. So yeah, we did the Bentley. This guy used to be an installer way back in the day. One of those guys that graduated to a real job and is super wealthy now, or very successful.
You mean installers aren't still driving Bentleys?
So he had graduated to a real job, and obviously at heart, like all of us, is an audiophile, and he's got a lot of money in home stuff, and he originally purchased all this equipment to do himself, and then he realized the install was too big for him to do. So he searched Bentley, whatever audio system on YouTube. My name came up, and we did the car. The rest is history. And then after his car, I'm doing literally the same car, different color. And both of these guys called like the same week because that video just was trending that week, right? So that's kind of like how a lot of my stuff is. It comes in bunches where a video trends and like a bunch of Tesla Model X people will call, or BMW X5 people because they see a video, and then I just end up doing kind of like a slew of them. And then coincidentally, I'll do, photos and a video, YouTube video of each one when it's done, which then goes back on YouTube, and then there's 2 Bentleys uploaded at the same time, and then it's just a vicious cycle of repetitive nature. But he was super stoked, super happy, and definitely said it rivaled his home system. I could go into the text of a lot of detail of exactly what he said, but like during the demo process, and it's always fun, it's why I love what I do, he just kept saying over and over again, I can't believe this is a car. I can't believe this is a car
the one you
audio
just
system.
delivered last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're already on to the next one?
Yeah, the next one. So I timed it to where the second client, he dropped off his car the day before the first client was going to pick up his car. So he got to experience it and see everything, the fit and finish. And it was like these two Asian guys, and they have a love for audio. They've never, I asked them specifically, I'm like, have you ever had anything in a car before? No, only a home. And he was like, this is just my family car, talking about his, Bentley Flying Spur. And just saying that, he just wants it to sound better, and he has a high expectation of what audio should sound like. And I sat him in the first car, and I just let him know that, like, obviously this is all the client's equipment. This is not typically what we would use for this price point. We'd probably use something a little bit different, but nonetheless, it still sounds good. Things stage correctly. And he listened to it and was just like literally blown away with the amount of headroom and soundstage and depth, dimension, and all sorts of stuff. Like he had, it's funny because like during the whole testing process, we always do the different presets, and he played Tidal on his brand new Samsung smartphone. I'm not sure what he had, but it like folded. It was the first time I've seen a folding phone in person, but it was pretty dope looking. But he was playing Tidal from that with the Bluetooth preset, right? So it was playing through AMAS in that car. And then we played the same song through Tidal on the SP2000, right? So he logged into the SP2000 on his account, played the same exact song, right? So same source material, just different player and different
and
source.
You're hardwired
hardwired
into a Moscone Pro.
And the difference was staggering. Like staggering. I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and I just look at him. I'm like, you see how big, you see how much like more, like I could hear from the passenger side, just how much more spacious the car became and how much more detailed a lot of and it was a great demo song. I still have it on my phone. I took a picture of it. I'm like, this is actually a really good demo song. So maybe I'll add that to the future of our demo playlist. But it was a good song, and he was just like blown away with the amount of fidelity that you can get in a car. And I just kind of like told him, I'm like, there is a lot of magic that happens in a car, right? Subliminally, I think we're just not, we think it's going to be something, and it's something else, right? Like when we talk about seeing the trunk of the JL car, right? You're just moseying on by. Your expectations are, it's just another like fit and finish, clean install, whatever, but not like a lot of an absurd amount of time, energy, thought, design, like trying to be different, right? That's the big thing, is you see that and you're like, holy shit, that's unbelievable. And you're like captivated. So like you could tell his expectations were like what most people's expectations are, even though his are higher because he comes from a very high-end home audio background. But the fact that, the sub was truly anchored in the front, and he knows it's in the back, and it legitimately sounds like it's playing from the hood of the car. And, there is no center in there, and he's got that image, and he's like, there's got to be something there, and it's not, right? So all of these factors are going into like, wow, how is this even possible? Because again, in the home side, you set your sound stage by positioning yourself. And you don't have to worry about really resonance because your fucking speakers are in these big, thick cabinets that don't resonate. So when you get that experience in a car, it is very shocking and striking that like this amount of attack and pressure can come from these areas that you're just like, how's that even possible? Because there's a lot of times that I still listen to cars and I'm like, that is really a mind fuck. And I do this every day. Like I can't imagine how somebody without these expectations would listen to this and be like, wow.
What speakers is the new one getting?
So the new one is going to be an Illusion 3-way. So we had a certain budget, which was less than the other guy's budget. The other guy had the equipment, so it was really just all install. But he wanted something that was like just really classy and clean. Because again, he's like ex-installer, likes the finer things in life. And we just really did what I felt was a good approach to that car to make it look OEM. But this guy, it's a much more simplistic install, even though he does still want the pillars executed the same way with the aluminum rings to match the lower door panel. Things like that.
3-in tweet or the C3CX?
I'm kind of I have both speakers with me right now.
Gotcha.
I'm kind of batting it right now to see if I can do the C3CX, how much I can get it on axis without it making the pillar look big is going to probably be my deciding factor. If I feel like I can really get that on axis without making it look like a monstrosity and still look factory, then I'll use the C3CX. If not, I'll just go with the C3.
Yeah. They both have their pros and cons.
But yeah, in this one
like
we're using the Helix instead of the Moscone. We're using a V12 and a P2. We're using two 10 TW3s for the sub, Illusion C6 for the door woofers, the mid bass, and then either a C3CX or a C3 for the front stage, all active.
And no rear.
Factory rear, factory two-way rear. And then we're using a director in the front for the controller.
Director, huh?
Yeah. Which is pretty cool because it has a black anodized aluminum knob. So we did like the thing where I put it on the drill press and I just sanded the side of the knob and polished the side of the knob because all the buttons in the Bentley have basically a chrome side and then it has a black front.
Yeah.
So it just made it look really, really good.
Nice.
But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Cool.
So it's fun because the second car is way more efficient since you just literally did the first one.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like having it fresh on your brain.
Yeah, I've remembered all the factory wiring, which that car it's nice because they use a variable input into the factory amplifier, and it's front
basically
and rear.
Like the BMW system.
Yeah.
Underneath, the older BMW.
Yeah, so very straightforward, simple, easy integration, and it's a nice car. It has its challenges, right? Like sealing up the factory front mid bass because it's one of those where it's just kind of like IB and it's just using the seal of the speaker against the grill really as its baffle.
Oh gosh.
And then the back is just wide open, right? So it doesn't have a great mid-bass response by any means. You really have to seal it up to get as best of a response as you can get. But like I said, every car, and I tell all clients this, is like every car, the car is really the determining factor of how much you can get out of the equipment, right? Because every car is going to have its own challenge, and some cars it might be resonance, and you simply can't push the amount of mid bass that you would want out of the front doors. Like we've talked about numerous times on this podcast about like a 911, right? Like a newer 911 because the fucking doors sound like shit.
Yeah.
So you have to dial back.
The door starts moving.
Yeah, you have to dial back what that mid bass is doing to accommodate not having resonance, because resonance is going to kill the soundstage. So, can you get a much better and lively and crazy experience in a different car where you can have all that stuff isolated? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've talked about this before also, is that there's a lot of times where there's a factory 6x9 location, and the question is always if we're going to do a 6-inch or an 8-inch in that location. And it's like, I'm all about putting the 8 in when the rest of the system needs it, but you have to do so much work to get the door to not resonate, to get everything out of the 8, where you can get the 6 going and reach resonance in the door. The 8's not really going to help you that much unless you go through and do that extensive amount of work.
Yeah, and there's some door panels, like, let's just take the Bentley door panel, for instance. There's only so many places that you can sound treat the door panel, right?
Right.
Like some are very difficult because it's not like you can really add mass to it because of how it's actually created and how it's recessed within the cove of the door skin, right? Because some you can't even put much in between because the variance is so tiny that it's just not built for that. And then, like I said, some there's just not even surface area to put treatment, right? So every car has its challenges and determining factors. And, you know, if you can find a car in which you can get the maximum potential out of the equipment, then it's has the ability to be something very special.
I like very special.
Yeah. You got anything else?
Cool. I mean, I feel like
I could keep talking. Yeah, because there's so many things I could just go off on a tangent to keep the conversation going. But we're at an hour and 20. It's a recap.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get this train back on the tracks and get a series of episodes together. So I'm excited for that.
And we got some good guests in the pipeline.
Yeah, it should be good. And we've yet to repeat guests yet, although we have had quite a few requests for a few certain previous guests to come back on, which we will do at some point. But we still have.
It might be a while. There's a lot of people to get through.
Yeah, you had mentioned that we actually both went and sat through Alan from Orca's class on how he actually goes about designing speakers and the programs that he uses to predict response of a driver. I'd really like to have Alan on at some point.
For sure. That was captivating. Just seeing you know, obviously like everything's give and take, right? You're trading performance for efficiency or whatever it may be. And just seeing all that stuff work in real time, you know, all right, we get more X-Max here, but it's going to change different qualities of the speaker here, and everything is a trade-off. So seeing an engineer talk about designing a speaker and how to get better performance or whatever they're after for that speaker was really, really cool. And seeing those models, those 3D models firsthand was really cool.
Yeah. Super exciting. Well, okay. Well, I say we call it for this. We finish off our drink here.
Mine's been done.
Called this an episode.
Do you have one more thing or no?
No, I think I'm out of things.
All right. Roll the music.
And